The fork trembled in my grip as my sister's sharp words cut through the Christmas dinner chatter. "It's such a pity some people never live up to their potential," Olivia remarked, her eyes drifting toward me with a rehearsed expression of sympathy. "Catherine, maybe you could ask Mr. Townsend about any openings in the mailroom. At least it's a legitimate company." Mr. Townsend, Olivia's boss and our dinner guest, chuckled in perfect harmony, his wine sloshing in its crystal glass. Their laughter seemed to amplify, and I felt a flush of heat in my ears. My chest tightened as I caught my parents exchanging that all-too-familiar glance, one heavy with 17 years of letdown since I strayed from the family's expectations. My phone vibrated softly in my pocket. Another urgent message, the fourth, about tomorrow's acquisition that could either cement or shatter Mr. Townsend's career, awaiting only my signature. "My name is Catherine, I'm 32, and this is the tale of how I stopped concealing my achievements from a family that only saw my shortcomings." I hadn't planned to reveal anything tonight. For 5 years, I'd meticulously crafted a facade of ordinariness. A humble teaching job, a cramped apartment, a used Toyota. In reality, I'd been quietly building Pinnacle Ventures into a global powerhouse, one that had discreetly acquired Townsend's firm through a subsidiary last quarter, finalizing the merger just over a year ago. "The garage is ready for you, Kathy," my mother said, pulling me from my thoughts. "We put a heater out there since Amanda needs the guest room. She's expecting, you know," she added, as if pregnancy somehow justified better treatment. The table grew quiet, relatives pretending not to listen but clearly absorbing every word. This was their annual amusement, watching Catherine be put in her place. "The garage," I echoed, keeping my tone even despite the cold seeping through the windows. "Don't be so dramatic," Mom said, passing the mashed potatoes without looking at me. "It's got a heater, and it's not like you're unused to simple setups." I thought of my penthouse overlooking Manhattan, my beach house in the Bahamas, the private island I'd purchased last summer, all hidden behind layers of shell companies and subtle ownership. "The garage is fine," I said, slicing my turkey into precise bites. "I'm sure it's better than what most of my community college students have." Olivia's smile widened. She loved when I mentioned my teaching job, seeing it as evidence of my failure. "That's the attitude," she said, her diamond necklace sparkling as she reached for her wine. "At least you know where you stand." After dinner, Olivia led me to the garage, a chilly concrete space despite the small heater buzzing weakly in the corner. They'd set up a creaky camp cot between Dad's golf bags and stacks of holiday decorations. A thin blanket sat folded at the foot, probably dug out from some neglected closet. "Dinner's at 7 tomorrow," Olivia said, her voice bouncing off the bare walls. "Try not to drag in any dirt when you come inside." As the door clicked shut, I pulled out my phone. 3 urgent emails from the board demanded my attention before tomorrow's meeting. The same one where Olivia's boss would present his quarterly reports, unaware that his year-end bonus hinged on my approval. I smirked faintly as I typed my replies. Olivia had no idea that her flawless boss, Mr. Townsend, had been frantically trying to secure a meeting with the mysterious CEO of Pinnacle Ventures, the parent company that had quietly taken over their firm last year. My phone buzzed with a text from my assistant. "Mr. Townsend's asking again about meeting you before tomorrow's board meeting. Should I say you're unavailable?" "No," I texted back. "Let him think I'm still in London. It'll make dinner more entertaining." I changed into fresh clothes, tucking my designer shirt under a plain sweatshirt. The garage was freezing, but I'd endured worse in my early days building my empire. While Olivia climbed the corporate ranks, flaunting every promotion, I'd been silently acquiring firms, reshaping industries, and creating something far beyond my family's comprehension. At precisely 7 the next evening, I entered the dining room and took my assigned seat at the table's far end, as distant from the important guests as possible. Olivia sat near the head, beside Mr. Townsend and his wife, laughing at something he'd said. "Catherine," Dad called out. "Olivia was just telling us about her latest promotion, Junior VP of Operations. Isn't that fantastic?" I nodded, accepting the plate of turkey passed my way. "Congrats, Liv. Pinnacle Ventures must be thrilled with your work." Mr. Townsend grinned. "She's one of our brightest talents. The merger with Pinnacle last year has created so many opportunities for people like Olivia." "The merger?" Mom sighed contentedly. "We were so worried when we heard Pinnacle had bought the company, but it's turned out wonderfully, though no one knows much about Pinnacle's CEO. Quite the enigma, don't you think?" Olivia leaned in, eager to share her insider scoop. Apparently, she's this secretive billionaire who avoids the spotlight. Some say she's in London, others think Tokyo. Nobody at our level has ever met her. I took a sip of wine, concealing my smile. If only they knew the elusive CEO they were gossiping about was sitting at the end of their table, relegated to sleeping in their garage. I've heard she's brilliant, Mr. Townsend offered. She's turned around at least a dozen major companies in the past 5 years, built Pinnacle from the ground up. Well, Olivia said with a dismissive wave, she can't be that brilliant if she's hiding from everyone, probably just some rich kid who got lucky. Just then, Mr. Townsend's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his face paling slightly. "Excuse me, I need to take this." He stepped into the hallway, but his voice carried clearly into the dining room. Yes, I've got the reports ready for tomorrow's board meeting. No, I haven't reached the CEO yet. Yes, I know how critical she is, but she's still in London." Mr. Townsend returned, looking rattled, his earlier confidence fading. Olivia, always eager to shine, launched into another story about her recent triumphs. "I just overhauled our entire operations department," she boasted, cutting her turkey into tidy pieces. "Saved the company millions." I discreetly checked my phone under the table, pulling up the report for that project. Olivia's changes had actually cost the company nearly $3 million in inefficiencies. I'd been tracking the losses for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment to address it. As CEO, I received daily updates on all major departmental moves, especially those led by executives like my sister. "More wine, Catherine?" Mom asked, likely hoping to keep me quiet while Olivia soaked up the spotlight. "Maybe stick to water given your budget," Olivia snickered. "Community college teachers need to be frugal." Mr. Townsend's phone buzzed again. This time his face turned ashen. "I need to make another call. Urgent business." As he hurried out, I overheard him pleading into his phone, "Please, just 5 minutes with the CEO before tomorrow's board meeting." I'd told my assistant to send him a series of increasingly urgent messages about the meeting. Perhaps a bit petty, but after years of Olivia's condescension, I felt justified in a little dramatic flair. "Speaking of business," Uncle James chimed in, "did you hear about Pinnacle's latest acquisition? They just bought out Henderson Global for $12 billion. Olivia sat up straighter. "Really? That's one of our biggest rivals." "A hostile takeover," Aunt Margaret added. "Henderson never saw it coming. This mysterious CEO, she's absolutely cutthroat." I thought of the Henderson deal, recalling the late night strategizing and the careful maneuvering of assets. Cutthroat wasn't the term I'd use. Calculated, maybe. Driven, definitely. Mr. Townsend returned, looking like he might collapse. "The CEO's called an emergency pre-board meeting tomorrow at 7 a.m. All department heads have to attend." Olivia's fork clattered against her plate. "What, but tomorrow's Christmas?" "She doesn't care," Mr. Townsend said weakly. "She's reviewing all recent operational changes. Olivia, bring your restructuring reports." It was the perfect opening. I cleared my throat gently. "Mr. Townsend?" He looked up, startled by my voice from across the table. "Yes. The meeting's actually at 8 a.m., not 7. And Olivia won't need her reports. I've already reviewed them." The room fell silent. Olivia let out a nervous laugh. "What are you talking about? You don't even work for Pinnacle." I stood slowly, smoothing my plain sweatshirt. "Actually, I do. In fact, I am Pinnacle." I turned to Mr. Townsend. "Those reports you've been trying to send me, I got them last week. We need to talk about the Q4 projections. They're off by about $30 million. Mr. Townsend's mouth opened and closed like a stranded fish. "You're Catherine Wilson, CEO of Pinnacle Ventures." "Yes," I said, smiling as Olivia's face lost all color. "Though most people just call me the CEO." Mom's wine glass slipped from her hand, red wine spreading across the white tablecloth. No one moved to clean it. "This is a prank," Olivia whispered. "It has to be." I pulled out my phone and projected my company ID onto the dining room wall. There it was, in sharp detail, my photo, my title, my company. "No prank, Liv. While you were climbing the corporate ladder, I built the skyscraper." "But you're a teacher," Mom stammered. "I teach one class a semester at the community college," I corrected, "because I believe in education and giving back. The rest of my time is spent running one of the world's largest private equity firms." Olivia shoved back from the table, her chair scraping loudly. "You can't be. You live in a tiny apartment. You drive a Toyota." "I own the building where my apartment is," I replied. "And the Toyota, it's eco-friendly, unlike your BMW, which, by the way, you shouldn't have expensed to the company." Mr. Townsend sank into his chair, likely replaying every smug remark he'd made about the mysterious CEO. The garage, he muttered. We made you sleep in the garage. Yes, I said softly. You did. All of you were so busy judging me by appearances that you never thought to look closer. I turned to Olivia. Remember last month when you denied Sarah's request for time off for her son's surgery? Olivia nodded, speechless. I personally approved her leave and arranged for a top specialist because that's what real leaders do. They care for their people. Dad finally spoke. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have made a difference? I asked, meeting his gaze. Would you have treated me any better if I hadn't succeeded by your standards? This family measures worth by labels and bank balances. I wanted to create something meaningful. I turned to Mr. Townsend. Tomorrow's board meeting will go ahead as planned. We'll discuss the operational overhaul that cost us $3 million, among other things. My eyes shifted to Olivia. I suggest everyone comes prepared. You're going to fire me? Olivia whispered. No, I said, gathering my things. I'm going to do what I should have done years ago, hold you accountable. Success isn't about titles or corner offices. It's about integrity, vision, and real results. I headed to the garage to grab my bag. Behind me, pandemonium broke out. Mom's objections, Olivia's denials, Mr. Townsend's frantic calls. One last thing, I said, pausing at the door. I won't be sleeping in the garage tonight. I have a suite at the Ritz-Carlton, which I own, by the way. Merry Christmas. As I drove off in my eco-friendly Toyota, my phone buzzed with messages from family, apologies, excuses, attempts to rewrite the past. I ignored them all. The next morning, I sat at the head of the boardroom table in Pinnacle's headquarters, watching Olivia and Mr. Townsend file in with the other executives. Gone was my sister's smug confidence, replaced by something like respect. Before we started, I said, I want to discuss company culture, how we treat people no matter their title or perceived status. Success isn't just about profits. It's about character. Olivia didn't meet my gaze, but I saw her scribbling notes for the first time in her career. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about settling scores. It's about proving their judgment of you was irrelevant all along. While they were busy looking down on me, I was building an empire. And next Christmas, I think I'll host it at my place, 15,000 square feet of it. Let them sleep in the garage.